Hello and welcome to another marvelous video. Today we will discuss a Terminator model many of you may not be acquainted with. All Terminator fans know that Skynet, an artificially intelligent computer defense network, created a series of combat and infiltration robots called Terminators during the early 21st century. These robots are recognizable for their armored metallic endoskeletons, mechanical strength, endurance, and glowing red eyes. Some Terminator models are cyborgs, and owing to Skynet's reasoning at that time, older versions were clad with rubber. Later, enhanced versions with live flesh covers were produced and programmed to mimic human looks and behaviors in order to infiltrate and exterminate Skynet's human resistance adversaries. In today's video, we will focus on one of the advanced versions of Terminators equipped with onboard time displacement equipment. This technology allows the Terminator to relocate itself in time. Yes, we are talking about the T-Infinity. In the Terminator universe, T-Infinity is considered the most advanced and deadly Terminator ever created, capable of adapting to any situation and overcoming any obstacle. So buckle up, as this is going to be a bumpy ride. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. Background. Before jumping into the narrative of T-Infinity, we must know what happened before. In the conclusion of the not-so-hit 2003 Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines, we witness John and his future partner Catherine Brewster, better known as Kate, along with the Terminator entrusted with their protection, traveling to Kate's father, a distinguished Air Force official, after learning that Judgment Day is imminent. In due course, the protagonists attempt to prevent the military from developing the technology that ultimately leads to the creation of Skynet, but the computers take control of the weapon systems before John and Kate can stop them. Regrettably, the dangerous TX, the adversary of the movie, activates the weapon systems in Kate's father's laboratory, resulting in his death, but he discloses the whereabouts of Skynet's core before passing away, which was at Crystal Peak, Colorado. Subsequently, John and his team proceed toward the destination to obliterate Skynet. After an intricate and intense battle involving the good T-850 and the bad TX, they finally reach Crystal Peak, only to realize their efforts were in vain. Kate's father did not disclose the method to terminate Skynet. Instead, Crystal Peak is a secure location designed to provide refuge to senior military officials in the event of a nuclear disaster. He was aware of the impending Judgment Day and wanted them to survive. The film concludes with Skynet initiating its assault on humanity, using nuclear weapons to annihilate billions of people. John assumes control of a radio within the shelter and starts to fulfill his destiny as the Resistance leader. Introducing T-Infinity in Terminator Infinity. Terminator Infinity, initially titled Terminator 2 Infinity, is a comic book series comprising 5 issues released by Dynamite Entertainment in 2007. The comic was created by Nigel Rayner and Simon Furman and is set immediately after the occurrences depicted in the film Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines. In the year 2033, the Resistance has successfully taken control of Skynet's final above-ground facility. Although the core of Skynet remains intact, the primary timeline is disrupted, prompting Skynet to conduct simulations of alternate timelines. During this process, Skynet identifies 3 paths that cause the anomaly, including a 4th path that is the primary cause of the disrupted timeline. As a result, Skynet sends the T-Infinity model back in time to remedy this error. Uncle Bob vs. T-Infinity Part 1. After losing his companion, Kate Brewster, and assuming that Skynet has triumphed and wiped out mankind, John Connor leaves Crystal Peak in July 2009. He travels to Los Angeles, California to join the human resistance, but a T-850 Terminator named Uncle Bob saves him during his first confrontation with Terminators and an aerial hunter-killer. Upon further revelation, it is discovered that Uncle Bob is actually sent from the future by John Connor himself in order to aid his past self in fulfilling his role as a leader. At a later point, John Connor and Uncle Bob encounter fellow human resistance members at a subway station. These members are working on constructing a transmitter to establish contact with other surviving humans. Unfortunately, their progress is halted by the unexpected arrival of the T-Infinity. Uncle Bob engages in combat to defend John, but before the confrontation, he recognizes that this particular model is distinct and lacks associated data. When the T-850 Zero demanded an introduction, the model introduced itself as T-Infinity, Temporal Terminator. In the end, Uncle Bob uses an X-90 phase plasma rifle to crush the building above it, trapping the dangerous Terminator in the wreckage in an attempt to stop it. The T-850 then flees to avoid being destroyed. The T-Infinity, on the other hand, is not destroyed and instead utilizes its temporal displacement technology to move elsewhere. Epiphany. In issue 3 of the series, John and Uncle Bob join forces with the human resistance to journey to a deserted radio station named Epiphany in order to find a way to communicate with other surviving humans. Upon arrival, they sport an aerial hunter-killer landing platform nearby, which they must eliminate to avoid detection while broadcasting the signal. John, Uncle Bob, and 4 other individuals leave the remainder of the group at the radio station to destroy the HK landing field, which they ultimately accomplish, but at the cost of 3 fighters' lives, much to John's chagrin. Going against the Resistance. Upon their return, they find out the rest of the Resistance members have discovered that Uncle Bob is a Terminator after a young Kyle witnessed John repair him earlier. This revelation leads to doubts about John's true intentions, as they are uncertain which side he is really on. As a result, the fighters contemplate killing John. But Uncle Bob came to his rescue. However, they still doubted John's story until he reminded them of his earlier experiences with Terminators and how he had helped them take out the aerial HK landing field. This convinced the fighters to trust him and work towards their common goal. Uncle Bob vs. T-Infinity Part 2. Enter Tara Holden. Upon realizing that their homing signal has been detected, Tara Holden, a former Marine sergeant who leads a group of soldiers near the radio station, joins forces with John Connor and the others to strategize an assault on a Skynet-controlled weapons factory located in Denver. With Uncle Bob's assistance, they discover the method of infiltrating the factory. Once inside the factory, the T-Infinity reappears and begins attacking Uncle Bob. After a long struggle, the Temporal Terminator finally beats the T-850 model and permanently disables him. The last act for now. After Uncle Bob's defeat, John Connor is left feeling isolated and depressed again. As the T-Infinity departs without a fight, the factory alarm sounds, prompting the group to hastily evacuate. However, John decides to stay behind, having lost his drive to continue fighting. While Tara Holden and the others flee, they encounter HK tanks. Meanwhile, John remains behind to blow up the factory. With little hope left, Tara assumes they will all perish, but John comes to their rescue at the last moment, using an HK Centurion to obliterate the other HK tanks and save Tara and her comrades. In the end, Skynet determines that 2 of the main targets that caused the timeline to become unbalanced have been eliminated by the T-Infinity prototype, namely Uncle Bob and the TX. However, 2 primary targets are still remaining. The T-Infinity is called back and begins simulating alternate timelines once more. The next target of simulation is displayed as Tara Connor, who resides in the year 2015. The story continues in Terminator Revolution. Terminator Revolution is a 5-issue comic book series published by Dynamite Entertainment. It was created by Simon Furman and Louis Antonio and functions as a continuation of the previous comic book series Terminator 2 Infinity. The narrative depicts events that take place in both the grim tomorrow ruled by the Terminators and the contemporary era, wherein John Connor and his mother Sarah must flee from adversaries dispatched to eliminate them by time-traveling aggressors. Within the first issue, we observe Skynet deploying the T-Infinity once more, this time to travel from the year 2033 to 2015, this time with the intention of eliminating Tara, who has now become John's spouse. In the midst of an assault on the Resistance headquarters, John Connor manages to temporarily incapacitate the T-Infinity through the use of an EMP pulse and a steel bar. This resulted in the time displacement mechanism on board the T-Infinity malfunctioning, causing John Connor and the T-Infinity to involuntarily travel to New Orleans and Alabama, respectively, in the year 1996. John meeting John. Skynet, being unable to find the T-Infinity model, starts to feel scared that the Resistance might have to take possession of it. If the Resistance has the Terminator, they could use it to their advantage. Therefore, Skynet dispatches the Dire Wolf, a canine-based Terminator, to eliminate the T-Infinity in the year 2015. In the 1996 timeline, a group of T-85 infiltrators tries to attack the young John while he heads to school. However, he is rescued by his future self and assumes that the older version is a reprogrammed Terminator sent to safeguard him. Regarding the T-Infinity, it makes its arrival in Birmingham, Alabama. Due to a malfunction, its system becomes disoriented, causing its primary mission objective to shift to eliminate Sarah Connor. Dual timeline. The dire wolf travels to the Resistance headquarters in 2015, which was the last known location of the T-Infinity before it unintentionally went back in time to 1996 with John Connor. After engaging in a conflict with the Resistance, the dire wolf is ambushed by the aerial hunter-killers, as they lack any data about the dire wolf in their system. The dire wolf couldn't find the T-Infinity, so it made its way to the Skynet Research and Development Facility situated in Willow Grove. But when it got there, the T-800 Terminators and the aerial hunter-killers guarding the facility attacked and confronted the dire wolf. Back in 1996, the T-Infinity visits the school of young John Connor and murders the principal intending to lure Sarah Connor. Although she is successful in getting away, Sarah Connor soon finds herself facing a group of T-850 Terminators on the road. In Issue 4, it is shown that Sarah Connor is rescued when the T-Infinity begins attacking the T-850 Terminators. She then joins John and his younger self, and they all proceed to their refuge in the woods. Upon reaching the Skynet Research and Development Facility in 2015, the dire wolf eliminates the Terminators and hunter-killers guarding the facility and sets the coordinates for Cahaba Road, Alabama in 1996, where the Connors were hiding. Kyle Reese traces the machine's location to the time displacement equipment room and prepares to destroy it using a sniper rifle. However, the dire wolf detects Kyle's presence and launches an assault on him, preventing him from firing the shot. In an attempt to flee, Kyle stumbles upon the displacement sphere, which he enters, and shortly after, the dire wolf also enters. The final confrontation. After tracking down the Connors to their hideout, T-Infinity was confronted by them and came under attack. John Connor used a rocket launcher to destroy its right arm, but it was still able to locate Sarah Connor and John's younger self. As it prepared to attack him, it was suddenly ambushed by the dire wolf. The K9 Terminator effortlessly tore off the head of the T-Infinity, leading to its destruction. Following this, the Connors began shooting at the dire wolf. With Kyle Reese's assistance, they were able to eliminate the K9 Terminator. Following the destruction of the dire wolf, John Connor utilizes the time displacement equipment on board the T-Infinity's remains to travel back to 2015, accompanied by Kyle Reese. Upon their arrival, John employs the neural network of the T-Infinity to specify the coordinates for a missile to strike Skynet Hub in Nebraska, effectively eradicating Skynet and concluding the conflict once and for all. Back to the present, in 2033, humanity had made a remarkable recovery and had returned to a state of normalcy that resembled the time prior to the war. Powers and abilities of the T-Infinity model. The T-Infinity has the capability to travel through time with its time displacement equipment and can also teleport direct hits from weapons, rendering it highly durable. Nevertheless, it is only able to teleport attacks that it anticipates, which means it can be susceptible to unexpected attacks. Additionally, it can be weakened by the indirect hits and is vulnerable to close-range combat and energy weapons such as EMP blasts. Like other types of Terminators, the T-Infinity has superhuman strength and endurance, surpassing even the T-800 in terms of physical power and resilience to conventional weapons. Together with its translocation abilities, it makes it highly resistant to destruction. Moreover, the T-Infinity is equipped with a blue force field, covering critical areas to further enhance its defense. The force field is so potent that it can instantly vaporize the same alloy used to build the T-800. The T-Infinity is equipped with technology akin to the Series X endoskeleton, enabling it to contain various weapons within its forearms. Its forearms consist of liquid metal that can reconfigure itself to form multiple weapons, such as plasma guns, energy-based machine guns, swords, and energy blade capable of easily cutting through almost anything. The T-Infinity has exceptional durability and can engage in prolonged battles without sustaining much damage. It demonstrated this ability when it destroyed 8 T-800s without being significantly harmed. In addition, even after suffering heavy damage and losing an arm in a rocket launcher attack, it continued to fight, as shown in its final battle in Issue 5 of Terminator Revolution. Marvelous verdict. That brings us to the end of this video. Despite its fearsome reputation, T-Infinity has become a popular and cultural icon character in the Terminator franchise. Its advanced technology, ability to adapt to any situation, and relentless pursuit of its objectives make it one of the most dangerous villains in science fiction history. Who do you think is the most dangerous villain in the Terminator franchise? Let us know in the comments below. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.